All right, so Fiona and I have been chatting for a little bit, waiting to see if anybody else would come into today's session, but I thought it was a good opportunity to be able to find out about the process of Fiona's crypto tax specialist business in helping with tax reporting. And she's got a really unique way of actually offering people the chance to get their reports done. And, I'm sure at this time of year, it's a little bit in between tax time, but I mean, it's like a blink of the eye and suddenly you'll be back in tax time, depending on where you are in the world. So you've been helping people, you've got some clients you've been helping people, like, how's it all going?
Yeah, it's going really well. It feels like the tax time never ends because there's your regular tax time, but then people get extensions to their taxes, and businesses have different times. So it really does just it's a year round thing. So yeah, I've any time you need some help, let me know. Um, I have been working with mainly Australian clients and US clients because those are the that's the markets that I know, or the taxes that I understand the best. However, the software that we use does do it prints out tax reports for a lot of countries. Actually, haven't got the number on the top of my head, but um, um, it has the widest number of countries that it supports taxes for. So
And
um,
you in particular, though, because you were a US resident, you've got a really good handle on the US side of things. Obviously, now you live in Australia, you've got a really good handle on the Australian side. But from an understanding of a reporting, because you're not an accountant, you are a bookkeeper, but ultimately taxes worldwide still come down to what have you earned, what have you lost? Is that sort of putting it into real basic terms?
very basic. That's really what I do. So I don't actually do tax returns. They're very strict in Australia about the qualifications that you have to have, and I did back in the day have those qualifications, but because I haven't been doing it for more than 10 years, I've got the skills and the experience, but I would have to start from the scratch again to get the actual qualification. But the most of the work is actually getting the data in to the software, and then the software um, does the tax report. The main work is in reconciling the data. So
Well, I was going to say it's not just a case of like plug in an API or upload a CSV. I mean, I remember the first time that I did, hook up MetaMask in particular. And I'm not saying that everybody has DeFi, but in that particular wallet, I get dumped all these kind of airdroppy type things, and they're not real. So it's like if I was to try and do it on my own, it was saying I had, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of crypto, because it wasn't even finding the right ticker, like the right code, and picking up other things. So the reconciliation side, it's not just that kind of the DeFi aspect. It's literally when transactions, or when you're following, you're on board through this and you move it to that so that you can do some trades on that, and then you move it back out and whatever. So it's making sure everything actually lines up.
yeah, and with the sort of trading that bot buddies do, you've got thousands of transactions, so it's a time-consuming process and a very detailed process. So you have to make sure that those airdrops, shitcoins, sort of thing, they're there is a process to code them correctly. So when you've got a lot, it's a time-consuming process going through, checking everything, making sure that they're coded correctly. So yeah, the API will bring in these airdrops and assign them a value. So you've got to go through, or I then go through and make sure that that's all correct. And there's also a lot of times uh, missing transactions. So you'll have like a withdrawal, but the system doesn't have a corresponding deposit for that withdrawal, things like that. So it's going through very much as a reconciliation, as a bookkeeper, that reconciliation process, and it can be quite time consuming to do that.
I guess in layman's terms, every debit must have a credit and every credit has to have a debit. Otherwise, it's sitting in a balance. And that's the reconciliation or the bookkeeping side of it.
Yeah, so it's important to make sure that every transaction is imported. So a lot of times clients won't think to say, oh, I use this bank account for these deposits, or oh, I was using this wallet, but there's nothing in there anymore. Things like that. Like we actually need to have any time you made any sort of transaction, we need all that information in there to make sure everything balances and that you get a correct report. Because a lot of people will be plugging in information themselves, which I'm happy to help anyone if you have any problems, any issues, any questions. I can help if you're using other software. I've used tried a lot of different software, so the process is pretty much the same. It's just the different software do things slightly differently. So people will say, oh, it's showing that I've got this huge capital gain, but I don't. I actually have a loss. And it's a lot of times it will be because of those things. The data is saying, oh, we don't know, like we didn't see this purchase. So when you sold it, it's 100% gain, things like that. So it's a very detailed, and as I keep saying that, detailed and time consuming process. I'm happy to help you if you want to do it yourself, but there is a lot of different things to consider. The landscape keeps changing, so it's really interesting keeping up with it all. So it's been a fun process.
So with regards to like going into second year, is it easier for you if you've already got all those original, say, deposits and stuff? So let's say like in a scenario where we did all our buying in, anytime after or anytime before 2021 type of thing. And then in 2022, it was just like, oh, everything was going down and not worth much. So then in 2023, I guess people are kind of like, a lot of people are just sitting there waiting to see when the market's going to rise again. So from a doing the reports again, all the hard work as such is done with regards to doing the first lot of entry. And then if somebody comes to you again the following year, then is it not as much work for you depending on their transactions?
Yeah, definitely. It's a lot easier to I need to have a good starting balance. It's like your bank account. You need, when you reconcile your bank account, you've got to make sure that you know exactly how much money is in the bank and that it's correct before you start doing your bank reconciliation for the year. The same thing with this. If I've done previous years, I know that the starting balance is correct, and then so it's less work to do the current year. So a lot of new clients, I have to reconcile several years worth of tax reports to be able to get. I can't just do this current year unless I've got the correct balances. So say in previous years you had someone else do your tax report. If I don't, what I need is, okay, so I know that you've got Binance and KuCoin, and these are the balances. This is your balance of, you had this many of, you had this much Bitcoin, you had this much Ethereum, you had this much Litecoin in Binance, and in KuCoin you had, Solana and Ethereum and something else, and I need to know how much they are. So that gives me an opening balance. I know that this is what you've got at the start of the financial year. So then I can reconcile the current year. But if you don't have that starting balance, I have to reconcile all previous years to get to a
Yeah.
good
And
opening
some
balance.
people have been involved since like 2017, so it's a number of years. Yeah.
Yeah. So with those clients, it is a lot of work. So doing this current tax year isn't always just this current tax year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, doing the first time clients, it can be a lot of work. And then with the repeat clients, I've got that good starting balance, and so it's a much easier process.
So
And
what do you say? Oh, sorry, go.
I was just going to say, and clients that have been through the process know what information that I need as well. So I've been working out my systems and processes, so it's a lot more streamlined. Now that I've worked with a few different clients, how they work, what they need, the information they need from me, so that I can get good information from them. Yeah.
So is it absolutely necessary for somebody to have a version of their own software?
It's not. It's helpful. It is certainly helpful, especially when it comes to doing the reconciliation. If you've got your own version, I can pop in and have a look and check and make sure that everything's working properly. Because software being software, there's going to be issues during the year, and sometimes the API will stop working, or sometimes there'll be different issues, and different software will support different. There's so much cryptocurrency out there that having support for all the different cryptocurrency is impossible. So most software will do the most popular crypto. So if you've got one that's not terribly popular, you do have to do manual data entry. So having your own copy of the software, it is helpful, but you don't need it. So I've got clients that they don't have the software, so I can create a temporary account for them, and we just input all the data, and I do their tax reconciliation, and then I close the account. So what that means is if those clients want to work with me again in the following year, I've got that opening balance. So they won't have the full history of their transactions, but they will have that starting point, that opening balance. So each year I can reconcile their account without them having to purchase the software.
All right, so that's something important for everyone to sort of think about is, if you like being able to keep control of your holdings and, at a click, see where you're standing at any point of the year. But if you're literally just like, no, I just need that piece of paper or that report as such so I can take it to the accountant and run it through, I don't care about all that, then that's a really good option. And it is a money-saving option because you're not having to pay for the software for the year as well.
Exactly. Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
Cool.
And the other thing about if you do have the software, it makes it easier for tax planning as well. So at the moment, there's a lot of things that you can do in crypto with trading that is not you can't do that in regular stock trading. So there's a lot of advantages to crypto with how you can do tax planning and sort of lessen.
Can we just touch on that for a second? So let's say, I mean, it's hard at this point in time because obviously 2022 was just a write-off for everybody. Like there's literally, I don't think it would be possible for anybody to say that they had a huge capital gain in 2022. But and even if you disagree with that, let's say from that standpoint, we haven't really experienced a real big capital gain sort of period. So, but we're about to go into one. We're about to head into the next 4-year cycle with regards to quite possibly in a 12-month period of that 4-year cycle, there's going to be a lot of money made. If you're trading, not just the bots, but if you're trading and you're actually taking back some of what you put in. So from a tax planning perspective, it's probably going to be more important going forward. But I don't know, tell me about tax planning because it is about kind of that balancing out each year. Yeah.
Yeah, there is an opportunity at the if you have a look at, so, and this is where having the software comes in really handy. You can look at it and say, well, if I sell off these particular assets right before the end of the tax year, I can make a loss, and that's going to be really important coming up when we go back up and in future years, because if you can make a loss in this current financial year, you can apply that to, it's going to ameliorate your gains in the next financial year. So there is an opportunity to do that this year, and then you're going to have gains over the next couple of years if everything goes the way it has done in the past. Of course, it's not financial advice, but if you look at what happened in the past, around the Bitcoin halving, there's a short period of time where we do make quite a bit of money, and then it'll go down again and we'll go back into the sideways market. So this financial year does have that opportunity. So it's a good idea to be able to have a look at what you can sell for a loss. Then the next
Just buy that
day
anyway.
buy
Yeah.
that. Exactly. Yeah. Which you're not allowed to do in the stock market. It's actually it's called wash trading, and you can't do that in the regular market. So at the moment with crypto, we can still do that. So we're taking advantage.
Well, and I don't think it's a case of like hacking the system. It's like, no, it's literally fine to do it at the moment. I mean, who knows when it'll stop, in however many years. But if while the governments of the world are still trying to work out how exactly do we tax people on their crypto, holdings and their gains and their whatever, while they're still working that out, do it. Like, absolutely do it.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's no law against it. You could absolutely do it. So as long as you're paying your taxes, the governments of the world at the moment, they're still trying to figure out what to do with the market. So there's a lot of things that we can take advantage of at the moment. That's what I'm doing.
All right. Well, I recommend that all of our bot buddies get in touch with you. It's probably easiest through the Slack channel. If you're not watching this through Slack and you're getting it via the email, then just send me a message and I'll put you in touch with Phiona. But it's like you say, the tax time is kind of perpetual. It's always ongoing. You're either planning it or you're getting stuff together, giving enough time for you to do the reconciliation because you're doing it manually. It's hands-on. It's your time that goes into this. And then, sending your report through, whether you're doing it on time or whether you've got an extension. So Fiona's time is limited. So it is a case of like getting in touch and sort of booking in advance, I think is probably the best idea.
Absolutely. And it can take quite a bit of even just the setup of getting everything connected, getting all the information. So if you can prepare ahead of time, it's really helpful. So if you can have a good documentation, knowing exactly what wallets you have, what you've used in the past, even if you're not using it now, anything that you have used, any bank accounts. I don't need your bank account. I just need to know where you're, your onboarding and your offboarding information. Just anything, really good documentation is going to speed up the process, because getting everything into the system can be a time-consuming process, and the reconciliation process can be quite time-consuming. So it's handy to be able to, and just I've actually there's KuCoin especially. I have to say, if you have KuCoin, it can be a time-consuming process with them. They are the problem child of the crypto tax community. It can be done. It can take a while, especially if you're US. This is what I'm coming across with US clients who don't have KYC and have KuCoin. You can't connect via API to software because you don't have KYC. So you need to get
that actually changed in July. So a lot of people in the US have been just straight withdrawing, but you still need to be able to access KuCoin to show all of those transactions.
I still need the data, and the data cannot be brought in via API if you don't have KYC. So that know your customer issue means that you can't automatically bring in the data directly into the software. So what you need to do is go to KuCoin customer service, and KuCoin's a great trading exchange. It's got lots of huge amount of coins, lots of liquidity. It's a very good trading exchange. It's their customer service that tends to be the issue, because they are so popular. It does take quite a while to get information from them. So any customers, any US customers that or clients that are working with KuCoin will need to ask KuCoin for a CSV file, and that can take a while. It can take a long while.
Whereas
so just be aware of that.
other platforms allow you to just get the CSV file straight away if they don't have API. But yeah, I see what they're doing. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can actually pull out you can actually download the information into an Excel file from KuCoin yourself, but that information doesn't, unfortunately, it's not formatted for the software. So the KuCoin themselves have to pull the data in a specific format. It's really.
But you've got all the process to help somebody be able to do that, though. You know what?
Yeah, and I've got little hacks on how to speed up the process, and little inside info on it. So. But it's just a heads up for people who don't have KYC and are using exchanges. There can be little hiccups to go through, because we are still really in the early days of this whole ecosystem, and we're all still figuring things out as we go along. Things are changing, things are getting better, things are getting a lot smoother. Even KuCoin is definitely getting better and getting smoother. But yeah, it's a process, and getting your taxes done accurately. And a lot of people have done it themselves, pulling the data from BitsCap and doing an estimation, which is great. Pretty much as long as governments are getting their taxes, they're happy. But if you want it to be accurate, and if you want to make sure you know that the data is good, using a tax specialist, and there's more and more of us out there, then it's a good way to go. But yeah,
I mean, I can think of nothing worse than sitting down trying to work out transactions either side, but for some reason you get a kick out of it. So
I find it fun. Really find it fun, and you learn new stuff every day. Like the stuff that I know about the cryptocurrency ecosystem is actually quite it's good fun. So yeah, hit me up. It's all good.
Awesome. All right, I'm going to have to actually get going. I've got a dog here that's pretty much coming to say, let me go out. So I have to take him away. But thanks, Phiona. I'm actually going to have to miss next week's Bot Buddies, because I will be traveling that day. But the following week, we'll get back into the trading, but I'll let everybody know as well. And you're keeping a finger on the pulse a bit there with in between the tax stuff and the trading stuff and the bot stuff. But we'll talk about bots and trading a little bit more next time. But I think it was a good reminder for everyone to consider when it is they're going to have to be looking at their tax reporting.
Absolutely, yeah. Ping me if you're in Slack, you can ping me and if you have any questions. I'm happy to answer any questions and help with the process if you want to do it yourself. Absolutely. I'll point you in the right direction. And just if you want to just have a chat and get on a phone call with me as well, we can do that. So just that it just there's a lot of new stuff out there, and the more stuff I'm learning, the more I can help you with the process. Yeah,
that's awesome. Thanks, Phiona.
Okay.
I'll see you on the next Bot Buddy session.
Yay. Bye.
Bye.